Hey guys, it's Sarah again. I'm recording another voiceover. I haven't seen the comments on the previous video yet because at the time of doing this video, the other one hasn't gone live yet. I try to have quite a few videos scheduled in advance. I've actually got a bit behind and I've only got this one and my previous video scheduled to come out at the moment, usually a month or so in advance. So what we are doing today is a very quick and simple tree ring or swirl pour. The paints that I'm using are Deco Art Dazzling Metallics in, I think it's Precious Gold, Glorious Gold, or something gold, I can't remember, and Copper, and Winsor & Newton Galeria in gold, burnt umber mixed with black, ivory black I think, and pale umber. All of my paints are mixed with Liquitex pouring medium and some warm water. In terms of my recipe, I don't really have one. I eyeball all of my mixes, and the primary reason for that is because all of the paints are different, even in the same brand. So the Winsor & Newton paints, colours will differ. Some colours are definitely runnier than others, but the Deco Art paints are consistently much runnier than Winsor & Newton. So I think having a recipe that you tell your audience about can be a little bit misleading. No disrespect at all to any of my fellow pourers out there, but I think it can be a bit misleading because unless you, as a person who wants to try this type of art, use exactly the same colours and brands, all the same products as the person in the video you're watching, you're unlikely to get exactly the same results and the right viscosity. It's something that you learn really with experimentation. I can't tell you the number of failures I had, I actually still sometimes have, but very rarely, if ever, regarding viscosity. But we tend not to publish many of our mistakes. I certainly don't. I publish some, but not very many. But the mixing, the recipe, the viscosity is something that you just learn by doing it yourself. It's very difficult to learn that from watching a video. So roughly I add about 30% Liquitex pouring medium to my 100%, whatever measurement that might be, of Winsor & Newton. The Deco Art paints are definitely much thinner. They have maybe 10% pouring medium added, and then to both types of paint a little bit of warm water until it gets to the viscosity that I'm looking for. With Winsor & Newton, that's probably around maybe 15-20% water, and with the Deco Art, probably less than that, maybe 5 or 10%. So while I've been talking, you can see I've poured my paints. I moved my hand very slightly to create the circular motion when the paint was coming out. You actually don't really need to do that. If you pour just in a straight line, straight down onto the canvas, you will still get a ring pour effect. It sometimes isn't quite as effective, but it will still work if you aren't very good at pouring in very tiny circles. So as I'm tilting this paint around, you can see I'm not going right up to the edges, or at least I'm trying not to. I'm trying to quite slowly move the paint into each of the corners and then back to the centre and then out to another corner. I really want to just make sure with pretty much any of the techniques I use in pouring that I've got enough paint to cover my canvas before I start actually tipping it off and, air quotes, wasting it. None of my paint goes to waste at all. It's either dried into skins, which I don't do very often these days, or I use it for dipping, pendants and or other canvases, which I do quite often. But the thing I do most often is I scrape it all up, straight away when I finish the painting into a pot to create a unique colour that I will use in another pour painting, or not even a pour painting. Sometimes I've used those mixed colours as a background for a painting that doesn't go on YouTube, or I will use it sometimes instead of gesso. If I've got a painting that, you know, or canvas that has been used before, I'll paint over it in one solid block of one of these sort of mixed runoff colours, just to give me a sort of blank canvas to do another painting on top of. So as you can see, I've got everything covered nicely. This has come out really well. With metallics, they never look as vibrant on screen as they do in person, but also it's important to note with any paints, but particularly metallics, that when they're wet, if you're using any kind of additives, which you will be for pouring, those are usually quite milky in sort of colour. So Liquitex pouring medium is very milky white, and although it dries clear, whilst it's wet, it's really dulling down the colour that you're pouring here. So it's not until you cure the painting and varnish it that the colours really pop out, and you'll see that shortly when I show you my finished pictures. While you're watching me just tidy up the edges of my painting, I just want to make a quick note about the music that I use most regularly in my videos. That music is by a guy called Kevin MacLeod. He has a website called incompetech.com. I'm going to link it below in the description. He's got lots of really long pieces of music, which are great for my videos because they tend to be longer than the average music piece in the library. So please visit his website. He's got some donate options on there, so if you do regularly use his music, as I do, you can donate either a one-off payment through PayPal, or you can do a donation through Patreon, where you can get other goodies from him. But please, if you like my music that I have on my videos, and or you use his music on your own videos, please go and visit his website, give him a donation. He's fantastic. And back to my painting. So this is something I get a lot of questions about all the time. I'm not spraying anything onto the canvas here. This is just a little butane chef's torch, and the reason we use these, whether we're using silicone or not, is generally to pop air balloons, air bubbles in the paint. But if you are using silicone, using the torch really encourages the cells to come to the surface. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of little tiny cells all over this painting, despite not using any silicone. But I always get that when I use acrylic paints. It's just the nature of the different transparencies of the paints as they mix together. So here are the finished photos. As you can see, the colours are a lot more vibrant. It's really shiny. The gold just really pops, the gold and the copper. I'm really happy with this end result. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.